the end of this lesson, you will be able to format numbers and use methods from the maths class. Hey guys!
Hi Murray.
Right, now where were we?
Last time we learned how to convert strings into numbers.
Right, now today we're going to take those numbers and learn how to format them. Remember when you ran your temperature conversion program, you thought the compiler directive gave you an error.
And it turned out that all we needed to do was to adjust the format of the output slightly.
Is it the same as in spreadsheets when we said how many decimal places we wanted to see?
It's the same principle, yes. Firstly, to format numbers, we call the static method getNumberInstance of the number format class to get a number format object. Then, we set the maximum number of fraction digits to the number we want. Let's say we want our numbers rounded to 2 digits after the decimal point. The code will look like this. Now, we use the format method of our formatter object. We give it the value we want formatted as a parameter, and it returns a string to us that we can print. Replace area in this system.out.println statement with the expression formatter.format in brackets area. We don't need to store the result of the expression in a variable. We can use it straight away by sending it directly to the println method. Now we can compile and run our program again.
I've got an error. It tells me it can't find the symbol number format.
That's because we didn't tell the compiler where to find the number format class. Click on Help in the main menu. Then click on Java API. This gives us the documentation for all the classes in the Java library. See how many there are. We could search through the list of classes on the left till we find the number format class. Or we can search for it by clicking Edit on the main menu and then choosing Find in Page. In the Find text box, type in number format and click Find Next. Down in the left-hand corner of the window, number format is highlighted. Now you can close the Find dialog box, then click on Number Format. In the right-hand pane, we have the documentation for the number format class. Directly above the heading Class Number Format, it says java.txt. That is the name of the package that contains the number format class.
So must we type in import java.text.star at the beginning of our file?
That's what we want.
That looks better, but what if I wanted the numbers to always have 2 digits after the point?
Then you must set the minimum number of fractions to 2, as well as the maximum number. Let's have a look.
This format method doesn't change the actual value of the number we give it, does it?
No.
But what if we want to round off a number?
There's a static method in the math class called round. In fact, there are lots of useful methods in the math class. So, let's look up the math class in the Java documentation. It'll be easier to scroll in the bottom left-hand pane like that until you find the math class, and then you click on it. Right. So, which package does it belong to?
Java.lang.
Correct. Now this package is imported by default into every Java source file, so you don't ever need to do it yourself. The system class is also in this package, so that's why we can use it without having to import anything. Now, let's start reading the description of the math class. The class math contains methods for performing basic numeric operations, such as the elementary, exponential, logarithm, square root, and trigonometric functions. That sounds promising, doesn't it? Now after that, it gets very technical. So let's scroll down further. Here, we get a field summary, then a method summary. And here's pi. If we want to calculate the area or circumference of a circle, it will be better to use this value than to use 22 divided by 7, or even 3.1415, since it says it's closer than any other value.
So how do we use it?
We simply write math.pi. Now the formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, where r is the radius of the circle. So in Java, we would write Have a look at the documentation for pi again. Click on the word pi so we can get some more detail on it. Remember, pi is a field. In other words, a variable of the class math. Here we have the declaration of pi. Public, static, final, double, pi. Public. That means it's available to anyone, including us, of course. Static. That means this variable belongs to the class, not an object. That's why we use it by giving the class name math.variableName pi. Final means that once this variable is assigned a value, it may not be changed. We call a variable like this a constant because its value stays constant. And lastly, double. Pi's data type is double. Now, let's look at some of the methods. Click on the back arrow in the top left-hand corner and scroll back down to the methods. Do you notice that they're all static methods? That means we will use the class name to call them. Now, scroll down till you find POW and tell us what it says, Morwa.
Returns the value of the first argument raised to the power of the second argument.
So, if I want to write this expression in Java, I would write y gets the value math.pow and in brackets x, comma 5, close brackets.
Here's square root as well.
And here's round. Oh, there are two rounds here.
Yes, but look, the parameter of the first one is type double and the parameter of the second one is type float. The different type parameters means the compiler can distinguish between the two. Because these two methods have the same name but different parameter lists, we say they're overloaded. Now when you call the round method, if the parameter you send to it is a double, the first method gets called. If the parameter is a float, the second method gets called. Now as we're only going to be using doubles, let's click on the first method and look at it more closely. Here we have more detail about the method. It says it returns the value of the argument rounded to the nearest long value.
What's an argument?
It's another name for the parameter that you send to a method. But look, if you notice, what it returns is a long. Now that's a 64-bit integer. If you want to store the value it returns in an int, which is only 32 bits, you have to cast it to an int.
What does that mean?
It means we're forcing the type of expression to be changed, and we do it like this. This statement takes a number of seconds and divides it by 60 to get the number of minutes. Notice that we're making sure we get floating point division by using 60.0. Then we round the result to the nearest whole number because we want to store the result in an int variable. We cast it to an int by writing int in round brackets before the expression. In today's lesson, we've seen how to format a number using a number format object, and we've also seen how to use some of the methods in the math class. Now, it's time for our task. Write a program called Tuckshop that will calculate how much a customer must pay for the cans of cool drink he buys. The program must prompt the user for the number of cans and the price per can. It must also display the amount that the customer should pay. And I want you to format the amount that the customer should pay to have exactly 2 decimal places. Now, a word of warning, guys. Think very carefully about the types of variables you're going to use. Well, guys, that's it for this series and the first stage of our little project. Now, next time, we're going to be out and about putting what we've learned in here and what we will be learning into practice. So, I'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you, Mom.
Bye, Marie.
It's my pleasure. Cheers, man.